Hello, this is Nick of Craft and Knicnax. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to review this Rhodia web notebook. This is in orange. It comes in several other colors. I believe the original web notebook comes in black and orange, and then there are other colors. I forgot what they are called, but they are also hardbound. So this one in particular is the orange web notebook. It's hardbound. As you can see, it has this elastic to cover it shut or to hold it shut, and one bookmark. And what I love about this is that it's hardbound and it can take a beating. I've used this bullet journal for 6 months, from January 2018 up to June 2018, and I just shove it in my bag, whatever bag I'm using. I whip it out at work, wherever I am and that I need to use my bullet journal. I whip it out, and you can see that it's really dirty because I didn't use any cover for it, and it held up fine. What I really loved about this Rhodia web notebook is that this elastic did not lose its elasticity, and it did not get pulled out. I have experience with hardbound notebooks with their own elastics that they tend to get removed from the cover after a few months. So this one did not. So I used it for 6 months and it held on pretty well until now, and the elastic is still strong. So I love it about this notebook. So once we go inside, you can see here at the bottom, it's well, it's French. I don't want to attempt to read it, but this is Clairefontaine paper. And for those of you who are like me that are addicted to paper, you would know that Clairefontaine paper is one of the premium papers out there. And it's 90 GSM, cream colored. And if you are like me, I actually do not prefer cream colored paper, but I am willing to compromise if it's really good quality like Clairefontaine. So this one is 90 GSM, so it's pretty thick, not as thin as the 80 GSM, but not as thick as 100, which has a tendency to bulk up your journal and make it really heavy. So it's on a safe 90 GSM, and I love that. I love that thickness. I love my paper to be thick, but not too thick as 100. So this one is right at that sweet spot of 90 GSM. So there are dots. I forgot to measure, but let's measure it now. Yeah, the dots are 5 millimeters apart, and this is for me the perfect space between the dots. And even if I'll get a grid, this is probably the same size that I will get for the grid. I love the 5 millimeter space in between. So if you're like me, you love the 5 millimeter spacing, this is an awesome book for you to get. So, and then the dots are gray, which is actually good because it's not as strong as a black one. Although I would have loved if it was a lighter gray. From the camera with all these lights, you can still see the dots, which means it's a little dark. Because if the dots were not that dark and not that distracting, you wouldn't see it under all these bright lights. But the fact that you can see it on the video means it's a little dark. It's not too dark to distract you a lot, but it does bother me a little. But I love the dots, so it's a compromise. The paper is great, the dots are great, the spacing of the dots are great. It's not too dark like black to actually be an eyesore. So, but for me, I would have preferred if it were a lighter gray or a different color. Okay, the next is, I think it comes in I tried to number it. I ended up with page 195. I don't know if I made a mistake along the way. I don't think I did. So it's 195 pages. And I know I did a page here somewhere with there. So you get 41 dots vertically and 40 spaces, and then horizontally you get 27 dots and 26 spaces. So just to give you an idea how many dots you get on one page. Moving on, I want to show you this pen test page that I made. So usually before I start a notebook, the first thing that I do is make a pen and ink test, because I do a little bit of art in my bullet journal. So I try to before I use any medium, I try it on the back pages first. So this is the first pages that I make before I use a notebook for my bullet journal. So I do a pen test and some markers and ink pads that I usually use in my journal. So my only concern here is that the Twist B 1.1 nib with the Emerald of Chiver ink actually bled through the page. But I've seen this ink behaving this way even on an F nib with other paper. So I'm kind of thinking it's the ink. Because if you see the Twist B 580, the same pen with a different ink, did not bleed through here. So it's a lot more of the ink than the pen or the paper. So this is really good quality. Very minimal shadowing. And for the ink test, I kind of messed this up because I did the ink smoosh test at the back. But you can see this one bled through, and this is the Versacolor charcoal. And the only reason it bled through is because I kind of loaded the ink pad with a lot of ink, so it went through. So it's just a note that when you're using an ink pad, don't load it with so much ink because it will bleed. The paper is not that smooth. It's kind of toothy. And if you're the person who enjoys the toothy feel of a paper, this one's for you. It's not very toothy. Excuse me, it's not very toothy because it can handle fountain pen. It's a little coated. It's smooth and toothy at the same time. And it's really good. I love holding the paper. And then I did an ink smoosh test. If you have no idea what ink smoosh test is, I linked it down below so you can try it. But I did the two methods that I did, water spray and water drop, and they both worked well. And then I did an ink swatch again of my several ink pads, and you can see I made the same mistake of writing on the back page, but you can see that none of them bled through. So it has minimal ghosting. VersaFine ink swatches, you can see a lot of really hard ghosting at the back for the dark inks. And then I did this at the bottom with with big stamps that has a lot of black areas, and I stamped different black inks that I have. So you can see, well, aside from the fact that these two ink pads are almost out of juice, but Memento and VersaFine are pigment inks, and they really tend to ghost a lot. In some papers they bleed also, so I'm not surprised that I have very heavy ghosting on the back page. But I rarely use stamps that have a lot of black areas anyway in my bullet journal, so it's fine. I just wanted to test it out. So there. I really enjoyed using this bullet journal. It's very versatile. Let me try and show you a page where there I did some watercolor. The paper barely warped, although of course I did more of a dry brush technique because this is not watercolor paper. But I love that it doesn't crinkle as much, and I can do some light washes of watercolor. I think I did something. Oh, here I used distress inks, and some of them bled through, if you can see here, because I tried correcting a mistake here that I made, and it loaded so much color that it bled through. But overall, it can take the color, and I love it. I also did some embossing, heat embossing, and it held up pretty well. So I love that how the paper can really take a lot of medium. This one, if you can see this one is distress, what's that, the really wet distress stains. So this is a really wet ink, and it also held up pretty well. So what else? Oh, there. So here are some stamps with colored pencil colorings, and it can take a lot of inks, a lot of wet medium, and so it's really great paper. My only qualms about this journal is that, one, it's cream colored. I wish it came in white paper. Two, the dots are really dark. I would prefer to have lighter dots because sometimes it becomes an eyesore, especially if you're tired. And then the third is it's a little expensive. It's on the expensive side. This one was gifted to me, so it did not cost me anything. I got it from an exchange gift, Christmas Secret Santa last year, and I'm really thankful that I got this as a gift. I was planning on using it for the second half of the year, but I found a different journal which was way cheaper, like half the price of this one, so I opted for that journal instead. So but that journal wasn't hardbound, so it probably also was a factor, but the other journal that I used has better paper. Anyway, that's for another review. This notebook, this journal is still gonna be on my list of top notebooks that I want to use. If ever I'm still in the process of finding the best journal that I can use for posterity. But still I'm on that quest, and if I find myself not finding that notebook after, I don't know, 3 years, I'll probably go back to the Rhodia and use this as my main bullet journal notebook. And then another thing that I do not like, although very easy remediable, it's not even a word, is that it only has one bookmark, which you can easily remedy, of course. But I would have, if you're the type of person who does not use any extra bling on their journals, this might kind of disappoint you because it's just one. And as a bullet journaler, you want to be able to have access to a lot of your pages, like your index. You would want one bookmark for your index, one bookmark for your other stuff that you want to be able to flip through immediately. There, I forgot to mention that it does have a pocket in the back. I put the sticker on it. This was made by my good friend Janice from Now Geeked Out. Hey Janice, I super love this sticker. She made us several, but so I put one of them here, and it has a pocket too that you can use. I usually store stickers and stuff inside when I'm going out. So there, I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well to see more of my videos. Hit that bell button also down below to get notified of new videos. And if you ever want me to make another review, or if you want me to make a review of a specific notebook, let me know in the comments. Also, any other video suggestions that you want, link them down below, or post them down below, comment them down below, and I'll do my best to get to them. Thank you for watching. Bye!